There's a man living at number 45 Abimbola Street, Agege, Lagos right now. His name is Murtala Muhammad. He is 35 years old. And this week, the United States government officially listed him as an ISIS financier. Not Boko Haram in the northeast, not a faceless name in the distant conflict. A man with an address in Agege, Lagos, with 3 bureaux de change registered in Lagos and Kano, allegedly moving money to fund the same terrorist organization that is beheading people and bombing communities across West Africa. And this is not just America's list. Nigeria's own government had already published its own list of 48 individuals and 12 companies it has designated as terrorist financiers. People with addresses in Kano, Jigawa, Lagos, people using cryptocurrency money, transfers, fake scams, and bureau de change to fund ISIS, ISWAP, and Boko Haram. Today, we are going through all of it. Who these people are, how the money moves, what it means for the insecurity you are living with every single day, and the questions nobody wants to answer. If the government knows these people, why are Nigerian children still in the forest? Welcome back. Adeoti Abayomi is the name. Nigerian politics, current affairs, straight and simple every single day. Subscribe right now, turn on the notification bell. Today, we are following the money that funds terror. Let us go. Section number 1. The US sanction that dropped that particular day. Here is exactly what happened. On June 22nd, 2026, the United States Department of Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, known as OFAC, published a new list of individuals and entities accused of financing terrorism. And 3 of the companies on the list are registered in Nigeria with physical addresses that every Nigerian can find on Google Map. The sanctions targets a network spanning France, Turkey, Syria, and Nigeria that allegedly supports ISIS operation, finances attacks, and assists the group's affiliates. Let me give you the specific Nigerian names and locations. Murtala Muhammad, a Nigerian citizen born on August 2nd, 1990, resides at number 45 Abimbola Street, Agege, Lagos, and is alleged to have ties to ISIS in West Africa. US authorities claim he oversees multiple bureau de change operating within Nigeria. The 3 businesses linked to him are specific and documented. Generations Currency Bureau de Change Limited in Lagos, Manhattan Bureau de Change Limited located at number 45 Murtala Muhammad Way, Wapa, Kano, and 929 Exchange Bureau de Change Limited, Block 7, FAAN Complex, Airport Road, Ikeja, Lagos. I want you to think about this for a moment. These are not companies operating in the cave or in conflict zone. Manhattan Bureau de Change is on Murtala Muhammad Way in Kano, one of the busiest roads in northern Nigeria. 929 Exchange is inside FAAN Complex at Lagos Airport. These are businesses operating in plain sight, serving ordinary Nigerians while allegedly channeling money to ISIS. The US Treasury said Muhammad had materially assisted, sponsored, and provided financial, material, or technological support for or goods and services to or in support of ISIS West Africa. The consequences are real and immediate. All property and interests in property belonging to the designated person and entities that are in the United States or under the control of the US person have been blocked. American citizens and companies are prohibited from engaging in transactions with them. Section number 2. The Nigerian government's own list. 48 names, 12 company. Now here is what is even more alarming. The US list is not the first time these networks have been actually identified. Nigeria's own government already published its own list months ago. The Nigerian Sanctions Committee, known as NICSAC, released an updated list that includes 48 individuals with armed group operating across Nigeria. Let me take you through some of the most significant names on that list, because the profiles of these people tell a story about how deep and how diverse this terrorism financing network really is. Abdul Karim Oida is identified as a senior commander of ISWAP Okene and is suspected of involvement in the St. Francis Catholic Church attack in Owo, Ondo State as of June 5th, 2022, and the Kuje Correctional Center attack in Abuja on July 5th, 2022. This is not a northern problem. This man allegedly coordinated attacks in Ondo State and in the southwest and in Abuja. Another one is Muhammad Sani, that is linked to Ansaru, the same group responsible for the Oyo State kidnapping. He trained under the infamous one-eyed militant Murtala Muhammad Way and specialized in clandestine communication code and improvised explosive devices. Another one, Salamuddin Hassan, is described as a top ISWAP member who allegedly coordinated finances through cryptocurrency and online scam, including dating fraud and COVID-19 palliative scam in the USA. Think about that, dating scam and COVID palliative fraud targeting Americans and Europeans, with the proceeds going back to fund terrorism in Nigeria. Your neighbor's romance scam victim in Houston might unknowingly be funding the kidnapping in Nigeria children. Abubakar Yellow had an inflow of about 61.4 billion and an outflow of 51.7 billion from his account between 2016 and 2017. He transferred 42.3 million naira to convicted terrorists, 61.4 billion flowing through one person's account linked to terrorism financing in Nigeria. Tukur Mamu, a Kaduna-based publisher, is accused of handling ransom payments totaling over $200,000 in support of ISWAP terrorists. These payments were linked to the release of hostages from the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. He is already facing trial and has denied all of the wrongdoings. And the list includes companies too. 12 Nigerian companies and enterprises have been designated as terrorism financiers, mostly bureaux de change and general trading enterprises suspected of laundering or moving money for terrorist groups. Section number 3. How the money actually moves. The system nobody is explaining. Let's explain it. Now let me explain something that most Nigerians do not fully understand. How exactly does terrorism financing work? How does money get from a bureau de change in Agege to a terrorist in the Lake Chad Basin? The answer is through a layered system that uses legitimate business as cover. Step 1. The cash comes in through multiple small transactions at bureau de change. Individual transactions below a certain threshold do not trigger automatic reporting requirements. So instead of one large transfer, you do hundreds of small transfers through different branches. Step number 2. The cash is converted to foreign currency or cryptocurrency. Security experts have repeatedly warned that extremist organizations are increasingly relying on bureau de change, cash carriers, informal remittance systems, and cryptocurrencies to evade sanctions and sustain their operations. Number 3. The funds move internationally through Turkey, through Syria, through Dubai, through cryptocurrency wallet. The network identified by OFAC includes Syria-based operators who allegedly use cryptocurrency to transfer funds to ISIS associates in several countries, including the United States, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and South Africa. Step number 4. The money arrives as weapon purchases, logistics support, salaries for fighters, and ransom negotiation. And here is the most disturbing part. Much of the Nigerian network stems from joint intelligence between Nigeria and the United States and the UAE, particularly targeting a Dubai network that was found to have transferred over $782,000 to insurgents in Nigeria. This is not happening in the secret though. Multiple governments have been watching and tracking these networks for years, which brings us to the most uncomfortable question in this entire story. That is section number 4. If they know, why are children still in the forest? I want to ask this question, and I want to ask it carefully because it deserves a careful answer. The Nigerian government published a list of 48 terrorism financiers. The US government published sanctions targeting Lagos and Kano bureau de change. Joint intelligence between Nigeria and the US and the UAE have been tracking this network for years. So why are the Oyo school children now over 5 weeks in captivity, still in that forest? The honest answer requires understanding the difference between identifying terrorism financiers and dismantling them. Publishing a sanction list freezes assets and restricts financial transactions. It is an important step, but it does not automatically dismantle the physical terrorist network. The commander in the forest are not running out of money the moment you freeze a bureau de change account. They have alternative channel, stored cash, and alternative network. What dismantling the network actually requires is consistent, coordinated, follow-through action, arrest of designated individual, prosecution that leads to real convictions, seizure of assets that makes the financial cost of supporting terrorism genuinely painful. The development also reinforces the need for stronger financial intelligence system, tighter regulation of money service businesses, and enhanced international cooperation to prevent legitimate financial channels from being exploited by terrorist groups. Nigeria knows who these people are. The US knows. The UAE knows. What Nigeria has struggled to do consistently is convert the knowledge into the kind of decisive, coordinated action that makes terrorism financing genuinely difficult and dangerous. And the gap between knowing and acting is the gap which children disappears. Section number 5. What this means for ordinary Nigerians. Let me make this personal because it is easy for this story to feel abstract. List sanctions, bureau de change, cryptocurrency wallets. It sounds like financial crime story, not something that touches your life. But here is the connection. You see that bureau de change in Agege that allegedly moved ISIS money in the same kind of business Nigeria uses every day to change naira to dollars for school fee abroad, for medical bills, for travel. When one of those businesses is financing terrorism upfront, it means the entire sector becomes suspicious. Banks will now tighten control. Transaction will be getting flagged. Ordinary Nigerians will be facing more difficulty accessing legitimate financial services. More directly, the money allegedly flowed through these accounts funded the salaries of fighters who rode into Oriri and took children from the 3 schools in Oyo State as at May 15th, right? The money funded the weapons those fighters used. The money funded their communication and logistics. The bureau de change in Lagos and Kano are not just distant financial crime story. They are part of the chain of events that produce beheading a teacher and 46 people still missing from their families right now. So, and when the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said ISIS continues to seek new methods and tools to finance terrorist attacks, and the United States will leverage every tool at its disposal to crush ISIS remaining capabilities. He was talking about protecting his country, but the attack is protecting against is happening here in Nigeria, in Oyo State, in Kuje, in Owo Church, in Abuja, Kaduna train. Section number 6. What is Nigeria doing about all of this? Now, let's give credit to whom credit is due, honor to whom honor is due, because fairness demands it. Nigeria is not doing nothing, right? The announcement of the US sanctions came just after the conclusion of the 9th phase of mass trials involving more than 500 Boko Haram suspects. The 4 days proceeding, conducted by 10 judges of the Federal High Court in Abuja, resulted in 386 convictions, with sentences ranging from life imprisonment to rehabilitation and re-radicalization programs. 386 convictions. That is significant. Nigeria is also playing a key role in the May 16, 2026 operation that resulted in the killing of Abu Bilal al-Muniki, described as the second highest ranking ISIS official globally. Nigeria and the US carried out that operation together. That is a significant counterterrorism achievement. Nigeria allocated 5.4 trillion naira to security and defense in the 2026 budget, the largest sectoral allocation in the nation's budget since 2023. So the government is spending money on security. It is convicting terrorists. it has participated in killing ISIS leadership. But here is the honest assessment. Convicting low-level fighters and killing individual commanders does not end terrorism. If the financial infrastructure that recruits, arm, and sustain the next wave of fighter is still functioning, the man in Agege can be replaced. The bureau de change can reopen under a different name. As long as the financial pipelines flow, the human capital can be replenished. Security experts argue that the designation of 3 locally based bureau de change in a global terrorism financing operation underscores the increasingly transactional nature of extremist financing and reinforces the need for stronger financial intelligence system and tighter regulation of money service businesses. The combat side of counterterrorism is getting more attention. The financial intelligence side still has gaps, and those gaps are what allow the whole operation continue thus far. Section number 7, the global dimension. Nigeria is not alone. Let me give you a perspective that is rarely discussed when Nigerians talk about insecurity. Nigeria's terrorism problem is not just a Nigeria problem. The network that OFAC sanctioned spans France, Turkey, Syria, and Nigeria. There are Europeans involved. There are cryptocurrency transactions touching Norway, Belgium, and Netherlands, and even South Africa. This is a global problem that uses Nigeria as a battleground. The funding comes from multiple continents. The ideology comes from the Middle East. The weapon comes from conflict zones that have nothing to do with Nigeria. And the fighters are local Nigerians, often from poor communities. They recruit them and radicalize them through network financed by this transactional system. That global dimension means solving Nigeria's insecurity require more than the Nigerian army alone. It requires the kind of sustained financial intelligence cooperation with the US, the UAE, the UK, and others that is now deepening. The US reaffirmed its security partnership with Nigeria and assured that it would continue to use every diplomatic and legal tool available to hold ISIS and its supporters accountable wherever they operate and however they move money. That partnership is real and it is valuable. The question is whether Nigeria is extracting maximum value from it, pushing for every piece of intelligence, every asset freeze, and every extradition that partnership can make possible. The big question. Let's end with this. The man in Agege, Lagos, who the US says was funding ISIS, has bureau de change in Kano, in Lagos. This is bureau de change that allegedly channeling money to some terrorist network that BS teacher and kidnap children. Nigeria already have their own list of 48 people funding terror, 12 companies, people using cryptocurrency scam, dating fraud, money transfer to finance the most violent organization operation in our soil. The government knows, the US government knows, the UAE knows. The question now is not whether Nigeria can identify these people. The government has proven that it can do that. The question is whether Nigeria can build the kind of sustained, consistent, relentless financial intelligence capacity that makes it genuinely impossible for this network to keep operating in Agege, in Kano, in Niger, in Kaduna, in anywhere across Nigeria. Because as long as money continues to flow, the fighters keep coming. And as long as the fighters keep coming, Nigerian children will keep disappearing from schools. Nigerian teachers will keep dying in the forest. And Nigerian families will keep waiting on phone for their children to come back. And the phone will never ring. The money is the root. Nigeria, cut that root. That is the work. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. After seeing this whole information about who is funding terrorism in Nigeria and where they are operating, do you think the government is doing enough? Or do you think there's a deliberate tolerance of these networks for reasons that have not been made public? Share this video to everybody that needs to understand how insecurity is actually funded and why it keeps continuing despite billions in security budgets. Subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell. I'll see you on the next one. God bless Nigeria. God bless you. Peace.